Good day, everyone. I am Ral Pahel. I'm 18 years old, so if I'm the next President of the Republic of the Philippines, I will return the death penalty. It because all murderers, all drug addicts is no longer to be given a chance to live. Because I will conduct or I will given an order to the armed forces of the Philippines to shoot to kill order on them, so that people of the Philippines are afraid to commit a crime, so that to reduce the population of the Philippines and giving a justice of the family of the victims. So the criminals and drug addicts and other more is the worm of our country. The death penalty is a waste of taxpayer funds and has no public safety benefit. The vast majority of law enforcement professionals survey and agree that the capital punishment does not deter violence crime. A survey of police chief nationwide found the rank that the death penalty lowest among way to reduce violent crime. Proponents of the death penalty being legal argue that such a harsh penalty is needed for criminals who have committed the worst crimes. Um, that the punishment deter crime, and that the Philippine Supreme Court has upheld the death penalty as a constitutional, and the opponents of the death penalty being legal argue that have the punishment is cruel and unusual, and those unconstitutional, that innocent and then people are put to death for crimes they did not commit, and that the penalty is disproportionately applied to people of color. One of the main justification for maintenance of that penalty is that the punishment may prevent people from committing crimes, so that as to not risk being sentenced to death. Retribution in this debate is the idea that the death penalty is needed to bring about justice for the victim families, and our society at large. And then whether the death penalty can bring about some sort of closure or solace to the victims, families after a horrible life-changing experience, has long been debated and used by both proponents and opponents of the death penalty. Because the drug use, the lethal injections have become difficult to obtain, some instances are turning to other methods of execution. Um, for example, South Carolina recently enacted legislative to allow the firing squad of electric chair if legal injection is not available at at the time of the execution. The focus of the death penalty in the Philippines today is focused on ending life as quickly and as peaceful as possible. That is why the process of typically carried out through the use of the lethal injection, creating a medically imposed death that involves the less amount of pain possible. At various points in history, the death penalty was carried out by the beheading, stoning, crucifixions, electrocution, shooting or hanging, and unlike in Saudi Arabia, still carries out swords-based execution, while India and Japan and Singapore used hanging, and the China uses a single shot to the back. State with a death penalty have higher murder rate than those without it. The national trends do not impact a local decision by criminals to break the law, whether the death penalty is present or not. There is no apparent correlation between the death penalty and exchanges in the murder rates. Capital punishment has no deterrent effects or unkilling of law enforcement official. The obligations of the death penalty occurs most often in state where the murder of police officer is a very low percentage of all homicides. The capital punishment or the death penalty benefit on the society it because may deter violence crime if the losses society exposes on criminal are less than those the criminals exposed on their innocent victims. Society would be favoring criminals, allowing them to get away with bearing fewer or cost than their victims had to bear. The death penalty does not contribute to the deterrence of crime. The fact the death penalty must actually raise crime rates. Studies posted by the Death Penalty Information Center confirming that in 2001, the order rates in states which did not employ the capital punishment were 37% lower than the murder rates in those states which did utilize the capital punishment. And the research also found that the southern states which are the responsible for 80% of the execution in the states and then have the highest murder rates in the country. And then investigation into the cases of highly murder rates in death penalty state reveal of connection between execution and increases in the homicide. A study conducted on a capital punishment in the Oklahoma, and then he found that there was a significant increase the stranger killing and non-felony stranger killing after Oklahoma resumed execution is a burden on society and does more harm than good. Many other countries have eradicated the death penalty for this reason. The countries that have abolished the capital punishment have sustainability, lower crime, and lower crime rates. The murder rate in the United States in 3 times higher than in countries such as the France, Italy, and Sweden, all of which do not choose the death penalty as a form of punish and does not discourage crime. And as studies have shown may increase crime in our country. Capital punishment is often defended on the ground that a society has the moral obligation to protect the safety of the welfare of its citizens. Murderer threaten this safety and welfare only by putting murderer to death can society ensure that convicted killer do not kill again. So those favoring capital punishment contend that the society should support that practice that will bring about the greatest balance of good over evil. And the capital punishment is one such practice. The capital punish benefit in society. It because it may deter violence crime while it's difficult to produce a direct evidence to support this claim, since by the definition those who are deterred by the death penalty do not commit a murder. Common sense tell us that is people know that they will die if they perform the certain act. They will be unwilling to perform that act. If the threat of death has in fact slayed the hand of many a would be murderer, and we abolish that death penalty, we will sacrifice the lives of many innocent victims whose murders could have been deterred. But if in fact the death penalty does not deter and we continue to impose it, we have only sacrificed the lives of the convicted murderer. Surely it's better for society to make a gamble that the death penalty deter in order to protect the lives of innocent people than to take a gamble that doesn't deter protect the lives of murderer while risking the lives of innocent is a grave risk are to be run in better that they be run by the guilty, not the innocent. Defender of capital punishment argue that the justice demands that those convicted of heinous crime of murder be sentenced to death. Justice is essentially a matter of ensuring that everyone is treated equal. It is unjust when a criminal deliberately and wrongly inflicts greater losses and other than he or she has to bear. If the losses a society imposes on criminals are less than those the criminals imposed on their innocent victims, a society would be favoring criminals, allowing them to get away with bearing fewer costs than their victim had to bear. Justice requires that society imposed on criminals losses equal to those they imposed on innocent persons by inflicting death on those who deliberately inflict death on others. The death penalty ensures justice for all. These requirements that just be served is not weakened by charges that only be black and the poor receive the death penalty. Anything unfair application of the death penalty is the basis of the extending its application, not abolishing it. If an employer discriminate in hiring workers we domain that jobs we taken from the deserving who were hired, or that job be abolished altogether. Likewise, if our criminal justice system discriminates in applying the death penalty so that some do not get they deserve punishment. It's no reason to give a lesser punishment to murderer who deserve the death penalty and got it. Some justice, however unequal, is better than no justice, however equal. To ensure justice, the equally we must work to prove our system so that everyone who deserves the death penalty gets it.